Hey everyone, Jason Verdelli with Phase 2 Solutions, and welcome back to another Q&A interview this week. And this week we have Dave Lavinsky. Dave is the president and co-founder of Guided Metrics. He's also the author of the best-selling book, Start to the End, How Companies Can Grow Bigger and Faster by Reversing Their Business Plan, and also a contributor to entrepreneur.com. And we're going to be asking Dave a really key question today, which is how can businesses utilize a real-time business dashboard to make better decisions? So when it comes to all the things that we do digitally in our digital business development, how can we put it all together? How can we really get a report card or a real-time report card that allows us to make decisions now versus waiting, 2 or 3 months when it's a little bit too late? So with that question thrown out there, Dave, welcome to the interview. And again, just want to hear your thoughts.
How are you, Jason? Thanks for having me on. So what is the first question? Why don't you reiterate the first question? Sure. And I'll take it from there.
Yeah. So the real question a lot of businesses have is, why do I need a real-time business dashboard? Really, what are the benefits? How does it help me make better decisions? Why would I invest in getting a real-time business dashboard set up?
Got it. Okay. So let's start with what a dashboard is. A dashboard, sort of like everyone knows a dashboard for the car, it gives you all of your indicators, how fast you're going, how much gas is left, etc. And obviously, if you just look at it that way, that analogy of a car is without a car dashboard, you'd have some problems. You would obviously speed a lot more, or at certain times you'd run out of gas, etc. So it gives you the visibility into what's going on versus, and you probably had to do this in the old days, you probably, just thinking about it now, you probably had to walk around to the side and stick something in that gas tank and figure out how much gas is left. The dashboard shows you what's going on in a lot less time. That's what a business dashboard is it has the key indicators of how your business is doing in one place. Not one place is generally, a screen, a web screen you can go to. So we'll talk about all your information. Businesses have a ton of information. So we have, sales information. We have information on what's going on your website. We have information on, marketing and leads. We have information on social media, on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter. We have information on how often your phone is ringing. There's so many systems and so much data in your business. What a good business dashboard does is it pulls it all together into one place and analyzes it for you so you know what's going on. So at the very basic, sales, a business dashboard should tell you what your sales are. Now, yes, you should be able to log into your QuickBooks, your accounting system, and maybe you do that. But what we find is that most businesses don't do that. And now they have sales in one system, their accounting software, but then they have number of web visitors in a different system in Google Analytics. And they have number of subscribers to their email newsletter in MailChimp or yet another system. And then they have data in Facebook. And then they have data in Ring Central or their phone system. And they have data in their CRM like Salesforce. So there's data all over the place. And what happens is when that data is all over the place, you don't log in and look at it because that would take you hours each day that you just don't have. And nobody ends up logging in and spotting issues. Now, so that's really when the value starts coming to play is when you get that visibility from having all this data in one place, automatically analyzed for you, and you get that visibility and you can spot problems and fix them. So for example, the common story that used to happen to a lot of companies, and it still happens today for companies that don't have a dashboard, is sales go down. So it's, the end of the month and the business owner says, oh, I had a bad sales month. And I say, well, why? And they start digging into it, and we figure out at the end of the month the problem was because leads went down. Now, if they had a dashboard that was tracking leads by, let's call it by day, they would have known that 17 days ago, their main lead source stopped working. And so now they waited 17 days to identify that leads went down. If they had a dashboard and that leads came from their CRM or their website, we would have known about that 17 days sooner. We would have corrected the problem because you would have identified the problem, then you could correct it, and your sales would have been dramatically higher. And so this visibility is a key thing because as a business owner or an executive, how many things do you have to do today? You have this to-do list of like 46 things. And the last thing on your to-do list is check to make sure how, we're getting enough leads because you have so many things. And so that's the challenge of running a business is that there's an infinite number of things that you could do. A dashboard helps you focus on what should I do? What's broken that should be fixed? What's doing well that I should do more of? And really, the key to business, it's really simple. It's figuring out what's working and doing more of it, and figuring out what's not working and figuring out, should you stop doing it or should you fix it? And those are the keys to success. Now, it's more complex than that, but really at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And that's the first thing that a dashboard does, is that it gives you, that visibility, so you know what's working and what's not working. Now, there's some additional advantages, but I want to keep speaking and quickly. So, Jason, is any comments or thoughts on that?
Sure. I think when it comes down to the dashboard itself, I know a lot of people, hear the idea of the dashboard and may grasp bits and pieces of it. But I think for a lot of the people that I've talked to, and just scanning the web and kind of get a general idea of how people are grasping the idea of a real-time business dashboard, is really to understand exactly what it does or how it works. Not from the really specific technical details of it. Of course, that'd be a whole other interview, and it'd probably last about 3 to 4 hours or more to go over those details. But more or less, like, how does it, like what are the components necessary as far as, maybe getting cloud-based technology and having utilizing systems and tools or platforms, as I refer them to, that have APIs and a lot of these things that allows one system essentially to talk to another system. I guess, what is, from a technical standpoint, what is the business dashboard?
Sure. Let's start with the old school dashboard. The old school dashboard was, you're using an accounting system, let's call it QuickBooks, and maybe you're using a CRM, which used to be Act or whatever back in the day. And what you would do is you would basically run reports in QuickBooks, you'd run reports in your CRM, and you would download them to Excel. And then maybe in Excel, you'd have some charts that shows, okay, here are sales month to month, or sales year to year, et cetera. And here are our leads, et cetera. So that was the old school dashboard, where you would log in manually to each of these systems, run the report, in Excel, and plot it out. It would take a lot of work, and it wasn't real time because it took, let's call it an hour to do that. So it would be done, updated once a week, once a month, et cetera. The beauty today is that pretty much any system that you log into these days, being an accounting system, being a CRM, being an online advertising like Google AdWords, et cetera, being a PBX or a voice over IP phone system, you can log in. Any of these systems today pretty much have what's called an API, which stands for Application Protocol Interface, which really is the fancy term for allowing one computer to talk with another computer. So what these APIs do, like with our Guiding Metrics dashboard, we connect via API. So if you have data in QuickBooks, or you have data in Salesforce.com, or you have data in Google AdWords, we can connect the dashboard, the business dashboard, to the API so that the data comes in real time. And usually when I talk about real time, we have data coming in every 15 minutes, not every 10 seconds, because you don't want it taking too long to load, but every 15 minutes, the data refreshes. So just the beauty is that your dashboard is always completely up to date, and there's no manual work. And that's the thing. In the old school was so much manual work of somebody having to run the numbers and analyze, et cetera. And then because it was so much work, they could only do it once a week, once a month, et cetera. Via API, once we set up the API correctly and write the scripts, then your dashboard is being updated in real time. Let's call it every 15 minutes of every day. So if it's Saturday and you're out with your family and you're curious about how the latest promotion went, you can literally take out your phone and go to the screen and see exactly the results as of Saturday at 5:15 p.m. or whenever you're looking at it. That's the beauty of APIs.
Well, and to follow up on that question is, what is the importance, or how would you view the difference of just pulling in information, pulling information in on, say, an email campaign where you can look at, how many people opened up a campaign or click through. But, so there's that kind of information where you're just pulling in, data from a central source. So instead of having to log into the other system and view that report, you can view it in your dashboard. But can you explain the difference between, or the importance of creating correlative data? So now, instead of just looking at, reports that are essentially just being aggregated, you're starting to correlate data from how, one promotion or one effort, affects all these other areas, including all the way down to the financials. So can you go into that a little bit?
Sure. So there's two things that a dashboard can do that logging into the source system can't do. So the first thing is, you mentioned you do the email promotion. Yes, you can log into your email system and run some of the stats. Yes, you can log into your CRM and run some of the stats. However, any of those systems, they're not analytics or dashboard platforms. So if you log into your CRM, maybe there's a couple of charts you can create, but they're not a dashboarding company. They have a lot of data. So what a dashboard can do, it can analyze the data and show it in ways that the source system can't. The second thing you're talking about is correlating data, which is really important, which is when you log into your, let's call it your email system, you can see the results of your latest emails, but you don't see the correlation between the emails and the sales. So what a dashboard can do, for example, this happens all the time with a lot of our clients, is we can put your sales chart by day and overlay that on top of your email opens by day. And now you start seeing the correlation that, hey, wow, when we send out more emails, when more people open our email, we get more revenue. So now you can start putting the pieces together that we can actually put the email chart next to our lead chart, next to our sales chart, and we can actually see finally the correlation between, hey, wow, when we send emails on Tuesdays, we get more sales. When we send, when we do this, when we go to these trade shows, our sales go up 3 months later. So now you start seeing the correlations between visitors to your websites and the emails that you send out and the trade shows that you go to and your sales team performance, etc. Everything now comes together because you're taking this disparate data from all these systems and putting it in one place. So it's a great question. And that really what the dashboard does is put it all together. The other thing that a great dashboard can do is combine data sources. So what I'm talking about with combining data sources, which is really cool, is let's take any business can do this, but let's take an e-commerce business because they really get tons of benefit from this. So let's say you're selling widgets on your website, and let's say you're advertising on Facebook, let's say you're advertising on AdWords. Well, if you're selling widgets on your website, I can dramatically increase your sales in 2 seconds. Not that I'm a rocket science. All I would say is, hey, if you're spending $1,000 a day on Google AdWords, let's spend $1 million a day. Well, your sales is going to skyrocket, but obviously your profits will most likely, plummet. You run out of business. So when you combine data sources, you can actually create a metric such as contribution margin, which is sales minus variable costs. So what a dashboard could do is take your sales from your online shopping cart or QuickBooks, and in real time subtract your refunds, which may be in a different system, subtract your cost of goods sold, which might be in an inventory system, subtract your Google AdWords costs, subtract your Facebook ad costs, subtract your other ad costs, your Yahoo or Bing ad costs, and actually do a complex calculation like that in real time. Now you're putting it all together, and now you're seeing, wow, sales are up, and normally you'd see sales are up, you'd be all excited, but now you can actually see, wow, profits or contribution margin is down, and thank goodness I knew that. That means that I better look at what's going on. Oh my goodness, my AdWords, I'm spending way too much money there. Let's turn that off, or let's lower that. So that's when the real correlation takes place, when you actually create a complex function based on data from all these disparate places, and now you really know what's going on in your business.
That's really, really interesting. I think that's where for a lot of businesses, it's actually analyzing that. I think a lot of just been doing the digital marketing, digital business development for over 10 years at this point, and we've worked with a lot of different companies from the search engine optimization services all the way down to email marketing to autoresponders, to actually reaching out via phone and traditional business development efforts and trying to bring them into to utilize digital media where necessary. But one of the biggest challenges that I think a lot of companies face, especially for services like search engine optimization, where maybe they're investing in increased rank from one position to another, they want to start to see the correlation of that and how how that's affected leads and everything else. It's very, very difficult, and I think a lot of companies just stop doing it after a particular period of time. Not because they don't see any progress there, but because they look at the bank account or they look at maybe some of these other areas, and they're not able to correlate that activity. Where now they can start to look at it and say, hey, you know what? Maybe it's something internally. Maybe we're not following through with the leads that are coming through. So maybe those are some of the issues as well.
Exactly. So that's a key thing for us is, what is the problem in the business? Why are sales not what they should be? Is it you're not getting enough leads, or you're not converting enough leads to sales? That's another thing that we track in most client dashboards is, what is that conversion rate? Once again, going back to, there's a million things for the business owner and executives to do. What should you do today, this week, this month? If you've noticed that we used to convert 30% of leads to clients, and that number dripped down to 28 to 27, now we're at 19%, that's the big problem. So I always look at businesses like a funnel. At the top of the funnel up here, which is leads, and then we have leads, what percentage of leads convert to clients, and what percentage of clients convert to repeat clients. So when you see those percentages, wow, the lead conversion rate has gone down or the client repeat rate has gone down, now you know what part of the funnel you need to fix. And when you fix that part of the funnel, your sales and profits go up dramatically.
Right. And I think that's absolutely critical. I mean, the measurement before even getting started a lot of times is critical. I mean, now which brings me to my next question, which is how where along the process for a business, maybe a new business that's starting out, should new businesses be starting with the dashboard from day one? Maybe we'll start with that question. Then I want to follow up with another question on existing businesses. So yeah, as far as new businesses though, that, maybe within a year old, should they be worrying about a dash? Or should they be, setting up a dashboard now, or waiting a little bit?
At the least case scenario is you have to identify what metrics you should be tracking. So whether you have a formal online dashboard or not, let's put that aside for a second. You need to know what metrics you need to be tracking. So, total sales, profits, number of leads, website hits, email opens. You need to understand what are the key metrics that are affecting your success. And every business that is successful has key metrics. Even Facebook early on, their core metric was new members, and they tracked that they track that every 15 minutes. They're tracking how many members, how many that dictated their growth. And so part A is you always need to identify what metrics you need to track. Part B is the decision is, do we want to have a manual dashboard where somebody's manually tracking that, or do we want to automate the process that we're hooking up with the APIs, as we discussed before, to automatically run the dashboard? And that just becomes a decision based on money. Is it less expensive for you to do that yourself, to manually have somebody do that? Do you need the metrics to look at every 15 minutes, or is it okay for you to look at those metrics once a month? In certain businesses, when you're starting out, you're very lean operations, and maybe it is okay to look at it, certain metrics once a week and certain metrics once a month, and it's not worth the cost. But once you get to a certain size, and maybe that size a few $100,000 in revenue, then it's worth it to invest in a dashboard, because A, it saves you tons of time because all your metrics are automatically done for you. B, that added visibility we talked about is going to allow you to identify problems and fix them, which is going to make you a lot more money. And C, which I didn't touch on yet, is productivity. When you have a dashboard, the productivity of your company skyrockets. And it's unbelievable. We see this time and time again. The reason why productivity skyrockets is that most employees in a company are not accountable to metrics. So you have a marketing manager, and their goal is to get a lot of leads, and they're just not accountable because nobody really knows how many leads did the marketing manager get you. And so once you start having a dashboard with those metrics, the marketing manager actually sees their metrics, and everyone else in the company, or at least the executives, see those metrics, and they do a better job, because when you're held accountable, you do a better job. If you have a social media manager that you think they're doing a great job, but you have no idea really what they're doing, they're posting on Facebook and Twitter, but then you actually look at the metrics and say, wow, you posted 80 things in the last month, and we've actually gotten 2 clicks to our website, and we're wasting all this money on the social media manager. Likewise, in one of my businesses, we have somebody in charge of customer service. Right when we implemented the dashboard, we actually had visibility on the number and the amount of refunds that she was issuing. And all she had to do in certain times was, it's so easy to say, hey, I'm going to give you a refund, versus, hey, let me ask you, why do you want to refund it? And maybe it's a problem that she could have solved. Now, once we had the entire company seeing a dashboard with the amount of refunds that she was issuing, and a comparison versus last month or last year, with a green arrow going up if she was doing a good job and a red arrow pointing down if she's doing a bad job, her performance increased immediately. Right away, she started doing a better job in preventing more refunds, because finally the executives and others in the organization could actually see what she was doing. Before that, nobody had an idea. She'd issue a refund, it would go into the CRM system, and we'd see it on the bottom line, but no one else know about it. So the productivity gains are limitless throughout your organization. That's another real core reason why you want to have that dashboard.
Well, and it empowers empowers correct decision making, right? It seems like, when you're sitting on the other side of the fence and you are the executive, and looking at your business and deciding exactly, okay, what's working, what's not. A lot of us make, myself, especially before implementing a business dashboard for phase 2, was looking at, okay, what's working, what's not, how can we, since we're investing into this effort, investing into that effort, how can we before just saying, hey, let's stop this, or like you said before, for us it was a matter of deciding whether or not to fix, or whether to cancel, or to leave something, or to stop something, and to fix it.
Right.
And I think executives having that information, especially in real time, where they can see that and make make the adjustments before it actually hits the bottom line, I think is critical. Now, the next question I have, Dave, is for businesses that are established. Maybe they've been in business for either a few years, maybe 10 years, or maybe 100 years. Where for those types of businesses, what is the recommendation in terms of getting started? So again, a business that has a lot of data, a lot of information that's already out there, what would be the next step for a business like that?
Well, those businesses are easier because generally they're going to have at least some sort of Excel spreadsheet or a QuickBooks report that they're doing already. And ideally, they're having some sort of managerial meetings once a month, once a quarter, once a year to say, okay, here are the results and here's our strategy and our plan for next year. So they sort of know what metrics they're looking at each month, each week, etc. So at least we can start with that and say, okay, you're looking at these metrics. These are the core metrics you need to look at. Rather than run them manually every week or every month, let's get those in a dashboard so they run automatically. And now from the get-go, we're seeing our data and getting visibility much more frequently. And then B, we're saving all that time and energy from people manually running reports. And also, when we go through API versus manual reporting, we're also eliminating the human error, which does happen, not all the time, but 5% of the time, you're gonna get a human running a report and copying, pasting something, or manual typing in, you get wrong data in there. So let's start with the data that the metrics you already know you need, and then let's start looking at some best practices in your industry or from other industries, such as, should we be tracking, number of leads? Should we be tracking, revenue per website visitor? Basically what we found is that you improve what you track. And so if you're basically start tracking, revenue, how much revenue the company's making divided by number of website visitors, and you seek to improve that, now you start working on your website in a more strategic way. And you start saying, okay, hey, if we get our website, we drive more traffic, we improve the pages that more people buy or more people call us, our whole business expands. But you can't do that until you start expanding, start tracking those metrics. And then it goes back to Jason, what you asked earlier about correlation. Now we're correlating website visitors to revenue. And now you start seeing that correlation and say, wow, when we change the headline on this page, or we make our phone number bigger, we get more phone calls, we get more sales, and the business grows. Now you're putting it all together. So any business can do that, but an established business, let's at least start with the metrics you've already been tracking for years. And then let's start layering in more metrics that we think, from seeing so many businesses in other industries are tracking. Let's add some of these metrics that we know are going to help you grow to the next level.
Interesting. And so, okay, so when a business is, they get this idea, you're saying, hey, Jason and Dave, we're ready to move forward on this. What are the steps in terms of preparing for the dashboard process? Obviously, if they are an existing business, they have existing systems. If they're a new business, they might be in the process of deciding on platforms, and maybe part of the integration within the dashboard is going to be an aspect of whether or not they choose that particular system. What would be the steps required from the customer, from the client in this case, to prepare for getting the dashboard? Is it a matter of getting the metrics in place? Is it a matter of setting up a consultation? What are the steps to get from where they're at today to actually getting the dashboard set up?
Sure. I mean, really, with our business at Guiding Metrics, the client really doesn't need to do anything. That's sort of the beauty of it, which is that if you're using Salesforce.com, all we need you to do is generate an API key. If you're using Google Analytics, we need you to add us as a user. I mean, it's all very, very simple things. And yes, you need to know what metrics, but we help with that. We've worked with so many businesses that will talk with you and we'll get your business to say, okay, hey, we need to look at this. We need to look at this. We need to look at this. So we'll help you do that. And then we'll build the dashboard for you. And usually we build a dashboard in 30 days or less. And then it's the process of looking at that dashboard strategically, because we find it all hard, the universe of we don't know what we don't know. And so a lot of times when you first look at that dashboard, you'll be like, oh my goodness, I had no idea about this. and you'll see this trend line of, hey, our number of visitors are going down, or our bounce rate's going up, or our leads are going down, etc. And then once we start seeing that, it opens our eyes to say, okay, that's interesting that our number of leads have been going down, but let's now dig in. Let's look at leads by source. Let's look at leads by region. So that's the whole universe of we don't know what we don't know. That's why the goal is to get the first dashboard iteration done quickly, so that that'll help us immediately, but then it'll alert us to where we need to dig in deeper to identify even more trends and more opportunities for growth.
Yeah, I think that's that's critical. I mean, but for businesses that are sitting there though, Dave, if they're saying, hey, Dave, what is the investment? All right, so we like the idea of the dashboard. Obviously, there's a lot of benefits to it, very, very clear benefits. What are some of the costs? What are some of just from a general standpoint? You don't have to mention any specific numbers, but what are some, can a business start out with maybe measuring a few things and having sort of a smaller investment, and then kind of build on that, or is that something that they need to kind of start off with everything? What would be for a business that has maybe a limited budget, or wants to get started but wants to kind of take steps? What would be the recommendation there?
Yeah, so I mean, pricing wise, our dashboard started at a few $100s a month, and they go all way from very large clients as well, and some very small clients, and they're as expensive as the complexity and the needs of the business. So yeah, start small. If you have a limited budget, let's start small. Let's get sales and profits and website hits and leads, and then we could expand upon that later. Maybe being, let's get all your number of phone calls coming in from your phone system. Let's really get in depth on every single aspect of your business. But starting small is fine. Particularly if you have a limited budget, let's start small. Let's get some of the key metrics in that dashboard, so you have visibility, you know what's going on, you can improve the business, you can grow the business, you can increase productivity, and let's start layering in additional elements to your dashboard later, your email metrics and your customer service metrics, and so on and so forth, because it can go on forever. I mean, there are tools out there that measure employee satisfaction. Well, if you have a tool, if you're doing employee surveys, let's pull that into the dashboard. It's sort of infinite what can be included in your dashboard. If you have chat on your website, let's pull that in. So there's so much potential information, but let's start with the critical stuff first, and we'll start small. And we're happy to start small and build out later, because at the end of the day, even that small dashboard is going to dramatically help you grow your sales and profits, so that you can actually afford a bigger dashboard that's going to allow you to increase sales and profits even further.
Right. And that's something I think, that we've worked well together. We work well together, Dave, between Phase 2 Solutions and Guided Metrics to help the client prioritize, and to help them prioritize, help them define exactly what to measure. So when we come and we get a dashboard set up through you, obviously we have our homework done, right? We have everything in place. We know what we're trying to improve. We know the objectives, the business objectives, what we're trying to do there. So I think it's key to have, to bring this up to, to a consultant, if your existing client of Phase 2 Solutions, is to bring it up to your consultant saying, hey, we'd like to look at a business dashboard and see, try to help this as a guide to what we're doing. But I think it's just getting that conversation started. And then, ultimately working with somebody that's also going to hold you accountable. Now, with that said, and really this is kind of the last question that I have for today, David. This has been excellent so far. A lot of great information. What when it comes to month, a lot of businesses, they might, you might get the dashboard set up and say, hey, it's a great idea. So they invest into it. They get it set up and everything. And then, maybe 2 or 3 months down the road, they maybe stop looking at it, and everything else. What's the importance? What's the maintenance? What are the month-to-month, day-to-day type of things that you would recommend for a business utilizing a real-time business dashboard?
Sure. So it is interesting, and I agree with that. Sort of like a gym membership, which is that people join the gym, certain people stay, and certain people drop off after a certain amount of time. Now, the beauty of the negative of a gym is a lot of times people join the gym and they realize how much work it is, and they don't see results and they leave. With a dashboard, generally just looking at the dashboard and knowing what you should be focusing on, your business results will improve. And it's a scorecard that's usually fun to watch, because you're seeing things improve, because you're getting better at your business. But clearly, in certain cases, if your business is not doing well, it's a constant reminder of, hey, you're not doing your job. You're not doing so well. Your leads are going down. Your sales are going down. And I could understand that certain people that can't handle that. And so really what you need to be doing is you need to understand that, you need to put the business at elevate the importance of the business. If leads are down or sales are down, that's what you got to focus on. You can't take it personally. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person, that you're a bad manager. It just means that performance is not where it needs to be, and you need to improve that. So that's really the goal, is to identify how overall performance is doing, and if overall performance is good or bad, why? Why are we doing well? Well, because leads are. Why are we doing poorly? Because website traffic's down, etc. So that's why you need to look at those key numbers, and then try to figure out, why through the other numbers. But really, what I like to do is I like to look at it, and for my own businesses, I look at it every day. I get the email every day, and I look at my core numbers. What is my total sales? What is my contribution margin, which was that sales minus variable costs? What are some web traffic? What was the result of my latest email, etc. So I just look at like 6 or 7 metrics every day. And I get that our dashboard sends you an email if you want every day with those 6 or 7 metrics as an attached PDF file. I click on that. If everything looks good, I'm done for the day. I'm like it takes me literally 30, 60 seconds, scan my metrics. Everything looks good, done. I won't even log into my dashboard. I own a dashboard company. That's fine. Because it's really when I want to look at things and say, okay, more strategically, maybe once a week, okay, how do I improve that more? Or if something doesn't look right, that's the beauty of a dashboard. If something doesn't look right, it's like it stands out. When you see that line going straight down, or you see that big red arrow facing down that you're down X%, it stands out. And that's the beauty here. So if I scan my results and I say, that doesn't look right. Now I know, hey, let's email Bob and say, Bob, you're in charge of that. Or let's email Sandy and say, Sandy, you got to fix that. Or it's something that I need to focus my own energy on. So that's really what I recommend, is at least on a daily basis, looking at 5 to 7 key metrics. How are they doing? And then more on let's go to a weekly basis. Let's log into the full dashboard and let's look throughout the business to spot opportunities on your website, on your email, etc. But that daily regimen of just looking at those 5 to 7 metrics, that's going to dramatically improve your business. Once again, it really should take, with our dashboard, 60 to 90 seconds. That's the beauty here, is that that's all really you have. You have all these things going on. Is for me, when I get that email, I click on it, I have that 60 to 90 seconds every day to just click on and see what's going on.
Interesting. And it almost seems too that you want to bring that, like you said, bringing it into making the dashboard a part of the culture of the organization, making it collaborative, not just making it available just to the executives or the owner of the business, but maybe making certain parts of it available, maybe certain segments of that dashboard available to a specific department, or maybe a manager in that department, so they can see how well they're performing. So that you get these enable or empower those managers in those positions to be able to make decisions that are ultimately leading to there's like 5 or 7 key metrics that you're looking at as an executive to base core decisions off of. To help you grow the business at the end of the day. So
yeah, some of our best clients have TV monitors in their office with select metrics from our dashboard. So one client I'm thinking of right now has their sales team has a big screen TV on the wall, and they see each of the salespeople, how many leads, how many connections, how many sales, and it increases productivity dramatically. And the business owner now knows who's slacking off, but they slack off less because they know they're being monitored. And the funniest thing is that and this happened with I see this all the time with like AdWords and stuff like that, is that you have somebody, either a firm or someone in your organization that's in charge of AdWords, how many clicks you're getting and your cost per click, etc. Is once the person monitoring AdWords thinks that the business owner or executive is looking at those metrics, they improve their performance, even if they're not. So that's the beauty of having, giving people their metrics, is that they assume that somebody else is watching over them and they do a better job, even if they're not. So I love the idea of using our dashboard to have a TV screen, and or allowing your employees to look at certain sections. Maybe your employees, they don't see your sales and profits, but maybe they see leads and website visitors, but you can control who sees what. But yeah, I love that, is getting that visibility throughout the organization. That's when you get those huge productivity and other benefits to the organization.
Well, and ultimately you empower decisions versus just gut decisions, which is, hey, I think we should increase website traffic. Hey, great, great idea, right?
Yeah.
Or hey, let's, hey, our ad looks really, really great. We come up number one or number three on Google for this particular search, and I hear that a lot. I mean, SEO, especially when it comes to digital marketing, a lot of businesses look at that as the key metric, right? Like position, and hey, we're not number one on this particular keyword or whatever else. But if it's not driving traffic, if it's not driving leads, if they're not converting from the pages that you're sending them, then you're doing a really good job of investing money and to get to get up and to get visible, but you're not necessarily taking it to the bank,
Exactly.
so to speak. So really, it seems like the dashboard really helps you to, from hey, how do we get there? How do we optimize, or how do we engage? And you hear all these different marketing metrics and different strategies, but how do we take that, and ultimately, is it leading to more deposits? Is it leading to more revenue or lower variable costs? Can we make certain parts, more efficient? So ultimately, it just seems like it's the ultimate business growth, kind of the core, the atom, so to speak, to business growth. Would I be correct by saying that?
Completely correct. And the big businesses have been using, online digital dashboards for years now. They've been using it for years. And now the beauty is that, the smaller business now with new technologies, like Metrics, the small business can actually do that, have pretty much the same technology to do that, because it works. And there's tons of research showing that companies, it was an Aberdeen Group study, it showed that companies using business dashboards and operational dashboards have 2 times faster sales growth and 3 times faster profit growth than those that don't. Because it's pretty intuitive, because you have all your numbers, and just like you just said, everyone thinks one thing, hey, if we're ranked number 1 on Google, all our problems are solved. But now you can actually see that, no, not only problems are solved, because it helps, you're getting more traffic, but now you have another problem. You got to convert that traffic, and let's track that, see what's working, what's not, and that's when your business grows dramatically.
It's accountability, as I see it. It's accountability towards business growth, not accountability towards great activity. And that's my phase 2 solutions. I try to make that evident, because our whole model is the building blocks of business growth: purpose, people, platform, process, is really build around what areas, what's your purpose, who are the people, what are the platforms that you use, the business dashboard, the different systems that you use, do they integrate with the business dashboard that's going to enable better decision making? So and then the process that's in place, but ultimately, all these things, everything that you do, if you don't have that where digital media, in this case, where digital media meets real business objectives, if you don't have that mentality, you're just doing, digital marketing to do digital marketing, you're doing email marketing to do email marketing, or you're doing social media, or maybe doing a particular thing within social media because you read an article on it. And I'm not trying to down businesses and saying, hey, they're just, everything they read, they do, and everything else. It's just it's the nature of the game. I think we all get busy. We get kind of day to day, very, very operational. But if we start to take a step back for a minute and say, hey, you know what? How can we start to make better decisions out of this by utilizing something like a real-time business dashboard that's going to enable us to make that possible, and to see some correlation, more importantly, because correlative data in different business model, or in one business, is different than another. That's what's going to help us grow.
Yeah, and I know it's very trite to say, it's working smarter and not working harder. And when if the data shows you what to do, what's working, what's not working, you're actually working a lot smarter. You can actually work less hours because you're working on the right things, and you're actually working less hours and getting better results.
Right. So great, Dave. This has been an awesome interview. I've gotten some great insight. I'm sure our viewers have gotten a lot of great insight into the real-time business dashboard. Before we close up, any other last-minute remarks, or any suggestions or anything like that?
Well, first off, once again, I appreciate you having me, Jason. You guys do a great job what you do, and so I love that. What you got phase 2, what you're doing is you're doing the consultative work beyond just creating the dashboard, showing people why you need a dashboard, how that fits your overall strategy, and the strategic implications of how to use that to grow your company, amongst other things. So I think that's awesome, and I appreciate the work that you do, for the great work you do for your clients. Really, the key thing I want to reiterate is that whether you have a formal dashboard with a company like mine, like Metrics, or just do it in Excel. If you just do it in Excel, you're still ahead of the game. And so I don't want to downplay that. As long as you're looking at your key metrics often, you are ahead of the game. I'm not saying that's where you need to be, but pat yourself on the back. You're better than the vast majority of businesses. The next level is, once again, having it automated in a dashboard, and you will see your business improve, because it's hard not to improve when things are so apparent that this is wrong or that's working, and you get the productivity enhancement. So once again, it's worth it to track your metrics. There's, not only have I seen it in hundreds of clients, but I've seen it, there's tons of real research out there that track your metrics. It will grow your business. And then as you're ready to invest in higher levels of sophistication of getting it automated and allowing the right people to see it, do that, because you'll keep getting incremental and more incremental growth in your business.
Exactly. Dave, awesome job, awesome interview. And as far as, if you have any questions for Dave, if you have any questions about the business dashboard and implementing the business dashboard, preparing to, or even help to define exactly what you're measuring, that's a purpose, so to speak, as we call it at Phase 2 Solutions. This is something where you want to reach out to a Phase 2 consultant. Go to our website, schedule a free consultation. There's buttons all over the website in order to do that. Or you can just go to phase2solutions.net/contact. You can set up a free consultation. We can talk with you about the business dashboard to help to define what those key metrics are. So when we go to Dave from Guided Metrics to help define, to help build out the business dashboard and help maintain that over time, it's going to be much easier or much faster to get it implemented. So with that said, again, Dave, can't thank you enough for jumping on here. Love to have you back again with maybe a different topic that we can go over, maybe kind of dive a little bit further into the dashboard. I know within Google Hangout, we could do a screen share, so maybe we can kind of do a demo next time,
cool.
Which would be great. So with that said, again, be sure to check in we are doing the interviews every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next week, we won't be, which is July, I think 3rd. July 3rd next week. We'll be missing that week, but we'll be starting up our interviews again the following Friday at 11 a.m. So be sure to check that out. Be sure to go to our website, sign up at the bottom there. You'll be able to sign up for our email list in order to get some really great information. We send out weekly information, tips, interviews. We don't send any spam or anything like that, just purely educational information, things to help you out, help you grow your business. But more importantly, that'll keep you on the list so we can send you the interview invites. And again, one of the things that you want to do before we do the interviews is make sure that you submit your questions. You can submit your questions to questions at phase2solutions.net, or you can go to our Google Plus page. You can just go onto Google Plus, search Phase 2 Solutions, and submit your questions there. You'll get a list of all the interviews that we have coming up. So if you have questions, as we bring on Dave again, if you have questions specifically, you can submit your questions, and we'll actually ask the questions during the interview. So it's a great way to get your questions answered. And then, of course, we post the information. This interview will be posted on our blog, and, of course, back into our emails again, so you can get the recording of everything. So with that said, thanks again for watching. Dave, again, thanks for joining on. And
Pleasure.
Thank
you for having me.
Absolutely. And have a great week.
Bye now.